What is going on, guys? Welcome back to a brand new video, and today we're going to be talking about the ongoing Kevin Durant trade saga. And honestly, it's heating up, so without further ado, make sure to drop a like, comment down below your thoughts on this whole saga, and yeah, subscribe because there's some great content coming out. The off season is just getting started. Honestly, we're still waiting on the NBA Finals to wrap up here too, so still a lot more news to come out. Let's get into it. First things first, I'm going to give my concrete solid prediction, no take backs, where I think Kevin Durant's going. I think when it's all said and done, he's going to be a Houston Rocket, and there's a couple reasons why I say that. Now, I think Houston has what Phoenix wants the most. They have guys like Jabari Smith. I think Tari Eason is out of talks. I'm sure Phoenix is probably, kind of picked at that, kind of poked at that idea. But they're probably not barging for that. Dylan Brooks, just math wise, he's kind of a decent contract, and they got the picks as well. You got the Suns' own pick this year in this draft, which is the 10th pick, because the Suns were absolute garbage. And they have a lot of Phoenix's future picks, which I believe happened in the James Harden trade, if I'm correct. I could be wrong about that, but they just have what I think the Suns want the most, and I think it makes a lot of sense for Kevin Durant if he would end up in Houston. And I know that the Houston head coach just signed the extension. He really wants Kevin there. And also they have Royal Ivy on that assistant coaching bench as well. Another guy that's close with Kevin as well. I think he was there in Brooklyn when Kevin Durant was there. So I think there's just a lot of connections there, and I think it makes sense. Kevin wants to go to a team in Texas, and speaking of another team in Texas, the Spurs. Why I don't think it will be the Spurs? One, they don't need to do it. And Shams did say that the Spurs were out of it.
KD there. Now, I think there are some people that have some KD fatigue at this point. Not us. I'm a big Kevin Durant fan, and it also gives us something to talk about.
For sure.
Gives us something to talk about. We are a talk show, sports talk show, and 2.5, 3 hours every single day. So if Kevin Durant trade rumors are going to happen, would love to continue to talk about Kevin Durant. With that being said, it feels like there's been a couple different narratives of this conversation. I think last week you said it could end soon. Then there were some people that say it could reach into this week. Now we're into this week. What are your thoughts on the KD trade stuff? And are the Rockets, is that the next move after they handle Ime?
Yeah, I mean, Pat, the longer this drags out, the more we're going to be talking about it. Kevin Durant's one of the best players in the league still today. He's going to go down as, top 15, top 20
50,
player
40, 90
of all time, top 10 player of all time.
Sir.
So,
yes,
and his stats, I mean, this is what he's doing even at this age is remarkable. So he deserves that. Yeah, I mean, there was definitely a feeling last week, but at the end of the day, the Suns know if they're going to trade Kevin Durant, they clearly have a price threshold they want met. And I had one team tell me today, it's kind of a game of chicken at this point. From the Rockets to the Heat to the Minnesota Timberwolves, it's literally one or two pieces away, either which way, that can get a deal done. But at the end of the day, one of these teams has to meet that threshold to get something done. The NBA draft is about a week away, so could this go into the NBA draft? For sure. But I don't think the Suns wanted to. I don't think the other teams wanted to. You want to get those deals done. So my understanding is they're in active conversations with those three teams specifically on trying to get a deal done for Kevin Durant, having their price threshold met. I would also not be surprised if this has 3-4 team deal scenarios too. This is also something that could branch into much more than just being a one-for-one trade.
I just don't think the Spurs need to do it. They got a lot of younger guys, and they're not in a rush right now, I feel like. They got Wemby. They got Stephon Castle, the rookie of the year. They just got a lot of younger rookie guys, or not rookie guys, but, just younger dudes that, they don't have to really give up. I know Phoenix really wants that second pick or Stephon Castle or both. It would be dumb of the Spurs to do that. I'm going to be completely honest. Even as a biased Suns fan perspective, as much as that would be cool, that would be dumb for them to go trade for a 37-year-old Kevin Durant and give up, the former rookie of the year and then, a top 3 pick in this draft. And then Miami, I just think, Pat Riley's, been very tough to negotiate with and trade talks. Chloe Ware, is a guy that the Phoenix Suns really want. Miami is very hesitant to put him in trades, rightfully so. A non-negotiable with the Phoenix Suns, and at the end of the day, this is probably going to be like a 4-team deal. I would be interested to see. I feel like Brooklyn could be a part of this somehow. I know there was that report where it was going to be Kevin Durant to Minnesota, or it was going to be Claxton to Phoenix, etc. But I think that got shut down by Kevin Durant and his party, which honestly for Phoenix would have been a great return. But in general, the Phoenix Suns really messed up. The whole just going about trying to trade Kevin Durant, you know, they really messed this up starting back at the deadline, which we will get into later in this video. Yeah, man. I just feel like Houston makes the most sense, unless, you know, I'm not going to count Minnesota out, but unless, you know, they don't really give Phoenix what they want, or they, I guess if they swoop in at the last minute and give like a very like overwhelming offer that, you know, you just can't resist, which I think Minnesota does probably have the best package for the Suns. So between Minnesota and the Rockets, I think that's the best that you can get in this situation, which once again, I'll go into the depth later as to why I say in this situation. But yeah, I think the Houston Rockets make sense. I think Kevin wants to go play in Texas, and yeah, that's my official prediction here on camera. No takebacks. Kevin Durant will be a Houston Rocket. The Suns really screwed this up. First, they tried to shop Kevin without him knowing. I think I think this is just like, from my point of view, this is like the whole idea as to why they did this. I think they kind of assumed that, you know, the talks kept quiet and they weren't too serious, and they were just kind of poking around, you know, asking teams what they would give for Kevin Durant. He would never know, and if they never did the trade, it would just be water under the bridge, and they would probably just revisit it in the offseason. Somebody in the front office did want to tell Kevin Durant about this, by the way, about the you know, that they were going to try and trade and shop him, but I'm not going to name who that was, and I'm not going to say how I know that, but that was 100% a true thing. Somebody in that front office, in that room, in the war room, or whatever you want to call it, did want to tell Kevin about it. They didn't. Then of course, you know, the Suns tried to do the thing with Jimmy Butler, the Warriors, etc., the Heat, and Kevin found out and got pissed and pretty much blew up the deal. And now we're in this point in the offseason where you're trying to trade Kevin and you're not getting as good of returns that you were potentially going to get at the deadline, which I will start with, I guess I'll start with the Heat deal. The Suns could have Jonathan Kuminga and Jimmy Butler on this team right now. And from the Houston Rockets, they could have, well, I think it was Jabari Smith, Jalen Green, and Reed Shepherd. I don't know if there was any picks included in that deal, but that was a potential package for Kevin Durant at the trade deadline. Keep that in mind. Then I think from the Minnesota Timberwolves, I think it was Naz Reid, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Dante DiVincenzo, Julius Randle. I'm not sure if like any of those guys were like interchangeable or if it was like all four of them together, but I do know those were like the four names that came up in talk. So just something else to keep in mind. So as we're talking about these teams right now, you know, we're talking about the Houston Rockets. You know, back at the deadline, if they would have went about this and talked to Kevin, he probably would have been open to it, about getting traded probably. And the Suns could probably have Jalen Green, Jabari Smith Jr., and Reed Shepherd right now. Keep that in mind. If they would have talked to Kevin Durant and went about this non-shady, didn't do this like as behind his back and try to deal him without him knowing, the Suns could have Jimmy Butler and Jonathan Kuminga. And last but not least, the Suns could probably have Naz Reid, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Dante DiVincenzo, and Julius Randle. So just keep that in mind as we see what we get Kevin Durant for, and just kind of comparison as to what we could have for Kevin right now. All because we wanted to be shady and not tell Kevin that we were shopping him because we didn't think he was going to find out, which was super dumb. And then, by the way, when Kevin Durant did find out, and everybody in that front office did find out that Kevin knew, they all looked at the one person in that front office, in that war room there, that wanted to tell Kevin Durant, and pretty much were like, what the fuck? So, but to say the least, I have a lot of respect for Kevin Durant and what he's done here. Kevin Durant's had a fantastic career in the NBA. I'm excited to see what he can do on his next team, and hopefully he has a lot of success there. I wish nothing for the best for Kevin. No hard feelings at all, which we shouldn't. And yeah, I guess we're just gonna see what happens, man. But yeah, with that being said, guys, thank you guys for watching this video. Just wait for the Shams notification. Don't pay attention to the shit you see in your timeline until you see the breaking news from Shams. Don't acknowledge anyone else. I'm gonna be completely honest. You know, a lot of it's for engagement, etc. But yeah, I think I'm just be diligent at what you see and what you take in. You know, it's all what you want to take in at the end of the day. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. Make sure to drop a like once again, because this off season is going to be crazy. Subscribe once again, because this off season is going to be crazy, and make sure to turn on the little bell icon to post notifications, because once again, it's going to be a crazy off season, and you got to stay tapped in. So thank you guys for tuning in. I'll see you guys in the next one. Deuces.